Referendum fraud in the recent Bangladesh election. In Bangladesh, alongside electing a new parliament widely seen as critical to the country's democratic transition after years of political turmoil, voters also took part in a referendum on constitutional reforms. 2 votes were held simultaneously for the first time in the nation's history. Election Commission said 60.26% of votes were cast in the referendum alongside the 13th national parliamentary election, while turnout in the parliamentary polls stood at 59.44%. Of all the people who voted in the referendum, 48 million people voted for yes, while 22.5 million people voted no, Election Commission Senior Secretary Akhtar Ahmed said today. About 68% people who voted in the referendum voted for yes. According to the Election Commission, there were a total of 127 million voters in the 13th National Parliament election and referendum. Of these, 60.26% voted in the referendum. In addition, 74,002,285 votes were cancelled or invalidated among the referendum votes cast. Despite a nationwide yes victory with more than double the vote share, the Business Standard, TBS, has found major discrepancies in the referendum results and calculations published by the Election Commission, EC. Analyzing the referendum results from the Election Commission, it is observed that the voter turnout in the Rajshahi 4 constituency was 244.295%. While the total number of voters is 3,19,909, the number of votes cast is 7,81,523. In this constituency, 612,229 votes were cast for the no vote, and 145,382 votes were cast for the yes vote. It is worth noting that Jamaat-e-Islami candidate Abdul Bari Sardar was elected as a member of parliament in this constituency. In addition, the turnout rate in Sirajganj, one constituency, was only 7.899%, which is much lower than the casting vote in the parliamentary elections held on the same day. In the national parliamentary elections, this constituency saw 60.83% voter turnout. BNP candidate Salim Reza was elected in this seat with 116,613 votes. Meanwhile, the number of yes votes in Netrakona 3, Netrakona 4, and Netrakona 5 constituencies is shown to be more than the total number of voters in those constituencies. Although the total number of voters in Netrakona 3 is 420,686, 522,438 votes were cast for yes. However, instead of the total number of votes cast, 238,358 votes were shown, and the casting vote was shown as 56.659%. There is a similar discrepancy in the information in the Netrakona 4 and Netrakona 5 constituencies. In the referendum held on the implementation of the July Charter, a total of 48,074,429 votes were cast for yes, and 22,565,627 votes were cast for no across the country. The average turnout in the 299 parliamentary constituencies was 60.26%. No wins all seats in hill districts and Gopalganj. Out of 299 seats, no votes won in a total of 11 seats. Out of these, no won in all 3 seats in the 3 hill districts and all 3 seats in Gopalganj. In Kagrachari constituency, 144,355 votes were cast for yes, and 155,942 votes were cast for no. In the Rangamati constituency, 18,106 more no votes were cast than yes votes. Similarly, In Bandarban, 18,739 more no votes were cast. In all three constituencies of Gopalganj, known as a stronghold of the Awami League, almost 3 times as many no votes were cast as yes votes. In Gopalganj 1 constituency, 54,716 yes votes were cast, and 1,28,298 no votes were cast. In Gopalganj 2 constituency, 34,302 yes votes were cast, and 1,07,290 no votes were cast. In Gopalganj 3 constituency, 33,498 yes votes were cast, and 93,368 no votes were cast. Apart from this, the other seats where the no vote won are Janaida 1, Sunamganj 2, Chittagong 8, Chittagong 12, and Rajshahi 4. Of the 11 seats that received the most no votes, BNP candidates won as members of parliament in 10. Only the Rajshahi 4 seat was won by Jamaat candidates. However, while the Election Commission changed the referendum results of Sirajganj 1 and Rajshahi 4 constituencies and announced new results at night, the results of Netrokona 3, Netrokona 4, and Netrokona 5 constituencies remained unchanged and inconsistent. The revised results have changed slightly. The percentage and number of yes votes have increased. The number of no votes has decreased. A referendum usually requires a simple majority of votes, or more than 50%, for its validity. In the case of constitutional or highly important national issues, a supermajority, or a higher percentage of votes, is often required. The total number of voters in Bangladesh, which has a population of 180 million, is about 130 million. To accept the verdict of the referendum in Bangladesh, at least 65 million yes votes will be needed. Half of the 130 million votes cast will be needed. So far, the government has received 38% yes votes, 4.8 crore. To put its hand on the Constitution, it will need at least 12% more votes. That is, only 1.5 crore more yes votes will be needed. Referendum verdict with 244% vote casting, referendum won through illegal voter fraud and punishable bias by the interim government official, should make Bangladeshis reject the referendum outcome.